When you picture our earliest ancestors, what do you see? Probably a brutal, simple world. Small, isolated clans of hunter-gatherers huddled around a fire, fighting for survival. It's a picture painted in broad, brutish strokes: furs, clubs, and grunts. The classic caveman romance is one of convenience or maybe even violence, a world without rules, complexity, or anything we'd recognize as a sophisticated social life. But what if that story, the one we've been told in museums and movies, is almost completely wrong? What if the sex lives of our prehistoric ancestors weren't simple at all, but were actually shockingly complex? New discoveries, dragged from the silence of the last ice age, are revealing a secret that challenges everything we thought we knew. Deep in the bones of people who died 34,000 years ago, written into their very DNA, is evidence that our ancestors went to extraordinary lengths not to mate with their immediate family. They were building vast social networks, engaging in what were effectively long-distance relationships, and developing complex social norms about who could be with whom. They weren't just surviving, they were building societies. And the driving force behind this ancient innovation, the original social network, was a deep, instinctual understanding of a danger that could have wiped them out. To understand their surprising sex lives, we first have to understand the problem they were trying to solve. For any small, isolated population, there's a biological time bomb ticking in the background: inbreeding. Think of your genetic code as a detailed instruction manual. When you have a child with someone from a totally different family, you're combining two unique manuals. If one has a typo, the other one likely has the correct version to compensate. But what happens when you keep making copies from the same limited set of manuals? It's like making a photocopy of a photocopy, over and over. The errors build up. Small mistakes get magnified. In genetic terms, this means that rare, harmful mutations that are usually masked by healthy genes suddenly have a much higher chance of showing up. For small bands of prehistoric hunter-gatherers, living in what anthropologists estimate were groups of perhaps 25 to 30 people, the consequences would have been catastrophic. Higher infant mortality, greater vulnerability to disease. Any one of these could spell extinction. Their very survival depended on finding a way to get fresh genes into the community. They needed to look beyond their tiny, immediate world and find partners from far away. The question is, how did they do it? And how do we even know? The answer lies not in dusty artifacts, but in a revolutionary tool that lets us read the stories hidden in the bones of the dead. The breakthrough came from a place called Sunghir, a site near Vladimir, Russia. Around 34,000 years ago, during the Upper Paleolithic, a group of people there created one of the most spectacular burials of the entire Ice Age. The graves were covered in red ochre and filled with an astonishing collection of treasures. Thousands upon thousands of meticulously carved mammoth ivory beads, which would have taken countless hours to produce, along with spears and symbolic carvings. In one grave lay an adult male. In another, two adolescents were buried head to head. For decades, the assumption was that this was a family, a chief, perhaps, buried with his children. But when scientists were finally able to sequence the complete genomes of these individuals, the story they found was not one of family at all. The DNA told a shocking tale. Not only were the two adolescents buried together not siblings, but none of the four individuals analyzed were closely related. The adult male and the children were no closer than what we might call second cousins. As Professor Eski Willerslev, who led the study, put it, what this means is that even people in the Upper Paleolithic, who were living in tiny groups, understood the importance of avoiding inbreeding. The data that we have suggest that it was being purposely avoided. If these small bands had been mixing at random, their genes would show clear signs of inbreeding. But they didn't. This didn't just look like an accident, it looked like a system. The Sunghir burials provided some of the most powerful genetic proof for what anthropologists had long suspected. Our ancestors had invented a sophisticated solution to the inbreeding problem. They had created a vast, sprawling social network. These small, mobile hunter-gatherer bands weren't living in isolation. Instead, they were likely part of a much larger community, a sort of prehistoric meta-population that, based on modern models, may have connected a couple hundred people across a wide territory. These groups would have met up to trade, share information, and, crucially, exchange mates. This system, still practiced by some modern hunter-gatherer communities, ensured genetic diversity and built strong alliances. This ability to cooperate and build large-scale social networks may have been our species' killer app. This stands in stark contrast to what we know about some of our extinct cousins, the Neanderthals. Genetic analysis of a 50,000-year-old Neanderthal from the Altai Mountains in Siberia revealed her parents were very closely related, possibly half-siblings, or an uncle and niece. This evidence suggests that many Neanderthals may have lived in small, isolated groups, without the same kind of large-scale social networking that Homo sapiens developed. Some researchers now theorize that this crucial difference in social strategy may be part of why we are here today, and they are not. Our ancestors weren't just physically adapting, they were socially engineering their own success. This prehistoric social network wasn't just a pragmatic solution for swapping genes. It was held together by a rich world of culture, ritual, and symbolism. Those thousands of beads found at Sunghir weren't just pretty decorations. They were a language. In a world without writing, personal ornaments were your resume, your passport, and your social media profile, all rolled into one. The style of a pendant or the pattern on an armband could instantly signal who you were, what group you belonged to, and whether you were an eligible partner. The incredible effort put into these objects suggests that finding a mate from another group wasn't a casual affair. It likely involved formal ceremonies and rituals, the very first hints of what we would one day call marriage. And our ancestors' fascination with sex and fertility is carved directly into their art. The most famous examples are the Venus figurines, small statues of female figures found across Eurasia, some dating back 40,000 years. Figures like the Venus of Willendorf often have exaggerated breasts, hips, and stomachs, while other features are downplayed. For years, they were simply labeled fertility symbols. But archaeologists now believe their meaning was likely far more complex. They could have been symbols of a mother goddess, protective amulets for childbirth, or even teaching tools. Their existence strongly suggests our ancestors were thinking deeply about reproduction and sexuality, using symbols to explore these fundamental concepts. The evidence is clear. The story of early human relationships is not one of brutish simplicity, but of profound social intelligence. From the very beginning, our ancestors seemed to understand that survival depended not just on the individual or the immediate family, but on the strength of the wider community. They recognized the dangers of isolation and actively built bridges to other groups, creating the first long-distance relationships. Now, this was a major step up from the social structures of many other primates, which often rely on one sex leaving the group to find mates. Humans developed a much more flexible and complex system where large numbers of unrelated individuals could live and cooperate together. This social fabric allowed for the flow of not just genes, but also ideas, technologies, and culture, fueling our species' incredible ability to adapt and expand across the globe. So, the next time you swipe on a dating app to connect with someone from another city, or visit friends in another country, take a moment. That impulse to look beyond your immediate horizon, to build connections with strangers and create a network, isn't just a feature of our modern world. It's an echo of a 34,000-year-old instinct. It's a survival strategy our Ice Age ancestors perfected. A deep-seated human drive that ensured our species would not only survive, but thrive. The surprising sex lives of early humans aren't just about sex. They're about the very thing that makes us human, our fundamental, unshakable need for connection. Now, let's go even further back. Watch next. Science finally knows what came before the universe. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. You'll be the first to know when we uncover the next chapter of Untold Stories of Science.